Welcome back to Titans of Foodservice. I'm your host, Nick Portillo. Thank you for joining me again here on another episode. Excited to have you back. Please, if you enjoy the podcast, if you could leave a 5-star review on whether it's Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts, that would mean a lot. It's been a busy week. My daughter, Poppy, she is now 9-10 weeks old, which is pretty surreal. The first 3 weeks, they were tough on the sleep. My wife, she's a champ. Poppy and I took her out early this morning on a little coffee run. We walked while I pushed her in her stroller over to get some coffee at Kit Coffee here in I think it's technically Newport Beach or Costa Mesa, one of the two, but really fun morning. And now here I am doing a little podcast. Okay, so on this episode, I'm going to go through how myself as a broker or as brokers in general, how we look to grow food brands in new markets. So if you're, let's say, a manufacturer rep or a distributor rep or a broker rep or anybody in the food service sales and marketing ecosystem, this episode is going to be for you. I'm going to talk about how we as brokers, we represent many different brands. We've encountered many brands over our careers, and how we really take a brand and think about it in terms of, hey, if I want to build up new sales or a new company in a certain market or in a space, there's certain things that I need to look at, and I need to make sure that I've got the groundwork laid. So we're going to go into some of that here today. So let's go ahead and get into it. So why expansion is harder than it looks. One, a lot of times manufacturers, maybe they have some sort of setup already in retail and now they want to get into food service for whatever the reason. Very hard to do. Just because we're both selling food, it doesn't mean it's the same, and it doesn't mean you're going to have natural success because of it. You'd think if a product sells, in retail or even on the food service side, let's say I'm selling a product in California, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to sell in New York or Florida or Iowa or other markets throughout the country. You can't it's not just a copy and paste model. Now you could have your most popular items in certain areas that'll always do well, but it doesn't mean you're going to have success across the board if you're having success in one market or in retail or whatever it may be here in food service. So every market, whether it's Southern Cal where I live, or it's the Midwest, like Iowa, or even Hawaii, which I represent. We have a great team out there, and our general manager and Alex and Kat, phenomenal at what they do and so well entrenched into that market. But it has its own nuances out in Hawaii. It's different than what it is in California, the most nearing state. Is that a word? Nearing state, the most geographically close state in California. They're vastly different. I mean, between population, between just different dynamics and demographics across the two different states. I mean, California is a beast. It's kind of like 5 or 6 states all in one. But again, whether it's Hawaii or New York or Florida or any other food service market in the country, it's got its own culture. It's got its own distribution quirks, operator preferences, and of course, those decision makers, those gatekeepers that may prevent you or help you to sell your product. As brokers, we're really the tip of the spear in the journey of helping you as a manufacturer or just manufacturers in general grow your business. Okay, so let's start with step 1. You need to know your ideal operator profile. Think of product market fit. Before you have boots on the ground and invest in a sales team and a marketing team and all this other things, you have to sit back and think about who is your product actually for in that market. Not just fast casual or coffee chains. You got to get really detailed, kind of get granular with it. What's the volume potential? What's the menu style? What labor do they have in the back of the house? Okay, you want to start drawing a picture of how does my product have functionality within a kitchen or within a food service operation? At my company, Portillo Sales and Marketing, we build what we call a strategic account classification guide. So we really try to drive it down to, okay, if a brand, let's say, fits in business and industry, which would be, think of like corporate campuses. In California, we have Google, we've got Meta, we've got Salesforce, all these large companies that have large food service operations on their corporate campuses. We really try to make sure that we're targeting the right ones for the right brand and that the size and volume is there should they make a purchase decision. It helps us align. These types of guides help not just ourselves, but you align your product to the right type of operator, because if you get that wrong, every other meeting becomes a misfire. Now, I will throw out this one caveat though. Sometimes you have to go out and trial and error. You have to test. Marketing is really just testing and seeing what works and what doesn't work. So you may say, I really fit in hotels, but in actuality, you should be in healthcare. Or maybe you can do both. It really just depends. It may take a little bit of time, a little bit of tweaking to figure out, which way you want to go. So step one of the broker's playbook, you have to define your ideal operator match in that specific geography. Again, trial and error, test it out, see what fits, interview or talk to operators in that market and get their feel and their essentially their buy-in. Now let's go ahead and talk about buy-in. You have to build local distributor buy-in. In food service, distribution is a massive key to success. And here's the part most brands overlook. You can't sell what they can't buy. You need local distributor alignment before you start operator calls. That means, slotting SKUs into the right distributor, having clean data in the system, aligning pricing with market expectations, educating the distributor sales reps inside those distributor walls as well. So there's many different aspects to it. I always say distributor reps are the second sales force you didn't know that you had, but they only sell what they're excited about. So you have to bring that passion. You have to train them. You have to talk about margin and the use case and how they can be a benefit and a value to the operators that they service and the chefs that they call on, the owners, and so on and so forth. This stuff, it's not glamorous, but it's incredibly crucial and critical to success is getting that distribution alignment. Now, there is a little bit of this chicken or the egg, I believe is the phrase, the chicken or the egg. You can go out and you can obtain that operator pull through to force distribution, or you can go to distribution first, kind of get their buy-in, maybe have them slot maybe a pallet or two or a few, so that you have a cart to sell from, if you will, in the trade going out to the operator. So you kind of have to find that right balance. Again, I'm not proposing, but maybe an idea is a little bit of that throw mud against the wall and see what sticks kind of mentality of you can try, you can test. The word test is going to be the big word of the episode. You can try different things to see what really is the right fit for you, especially if you're starting on the ground level. Now, let's say you already have some products stocked in distribution. Okay, now you've got something there. Let's say I'm working with Cisco Los Angeles here in Southern Cal. Okay, Cisco Los Angeles is a massive distribution warehouse, distribution center. They call them op sites at Cisco. That's their corporate language. That Cisco op site is massive. So if I've got one item, or maybe I've got 5, or maybe a handful, or whatever it may be, I now have a cart to sell from. Can I go to the buyer or the category manager and talk to them and say, hey, if I put together some sort of marketing program, maybe it's 3%, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's bigger, maybe it's less. It's totally up to you. And say, can I get this product open coded so that I have something to sell from when I'm out on the street? That's important. Once you get that, think about if you wanted to buy a certain brand of cheese from the grocery store and if it's not on the shelf, then it's really hard to buy it. You can go around and circumvent, maybe buy it online or drive a few miles down the street to find a different location that may have it. But really, your grocery store, you want to have that cheese there. So it's the same. It's a similar type thought, similar type mentality. And maybe I'm going too far on a tangent here, but if the product is not stocked and available, it's really hard for an operator to say, yes, I'm going to make that purchase. So you have to think about, I got to get it stocked, I got to get it open coded and get it available to the rest of the industry, or at least the local market, so people have a way to buy it. Next is going into and leveraging brokers like myself who have that local, what I call gravity. If you're a national brand, you're trying to grow, you need someone local who speaks that operator's language. Or maybe you're a brand in Northern Cal. There's a lot of manufacturers that start in Northern Cal. You have that kind of tech space, and we see it in food as well. Maybe you want to start hyper local. I'm in Northern Cal as a manufacturer, for example. I'm going to hire a broker like, let's say myself, Portillo Sales Marketing, who's in Northern California. I want to start there. I want to get super hyper local and talk about my brand story in that area and kind of make it, again, the word test in one certain market. And then I can take that success and I can magnify it across the whole West, for example, or across the whole country. Brokers, what's great about brokers is that they understand the politics that come with distribution. They know what menu trends are happening in real time. They speak the operator's language. And they also have what I call knowledge of and access to. They have knowledge of who the right operators and distributors are in that market. And many times they have access to them. They have a relationship. They know the person by first name, or they can get a call back, or they can set up a meeting for you, essentially get you a seat at the table. So knowledge of the market and access to the market as well. So that's a big piece for where brokers come in. A great broker, they don't just push product. They build relationships, they create those menu ideas, and they connect a lot of the dots that you may not be able to figure out on your own, or your direct sales team may not have the bandwidth to do on their own. At my company, for example, we don't walk in with just a sales sheet. We're walking in with a solution, or we're trying to do concept selling. Maybe it's I represent a hot dog bun, I represent the hot dog, I represent the ketchup and the mustard. I can pair them all together. It's a solution. When I come in as a solution as a broker rep, as opposed to maybe say a manufacturer rep where you're just trying to sell, let's say you're the ketchup manufacturer. If you're just the ketchup, but I've got everything, a lot of times I may, as a broker rep, bring more value to a chef because I've got more options. I may not be able to sell the ketchup there necessarily on that call, but the other items may have helped me get in the door, or continue a relationship with that operator and continue to come back because they see that I'm bringing value to them. When you're evaluating brokers, I've done episodes on this. I've done, you can go on our portillosales.com website. I've done blog posts on this as well. If you're evaluating brokers, you have to ask, how often are you in front of key operators? Can you get my product available in distribution? Or do you work food shows? Can you work those on my behalf? What's your process to launch a brand? Do you take a brand from the ground up, or are you more taking an established brand and scaling them bigger? You want to make sure you kind of figure out those things. Again, I've got a lot of resources and content over on portillosales.com. You can go check out. Okay, step number 4, you have to sample like it's a science. This is where some brands, not a lot, but some, they fall short. In the food service industry, food service sales industry, should I say, you have to get product in decision makers' mouth, period. They're not just going to buy something sight unseen. Does it happen? It can, and it does. However, most of the time, if an owner of a restaurant or the executive chef at a hotel or the buyer at a multi-unit restaurant group, they want to try the product. They want to understand and play around and feel and test. Again, there's the word test. Experiment with your product and see if it will work for them, if it fits the product profile, the flavor profile they're looking. Will it fit their demographic? All those types of things. So you have to sample like a madman or a mad woman. The best brokers, they pre-qualify the opportunity. They set up the right environment for you, whether maybe it's a hotline or maybe kitchen support or whatever, and then they help follow up immediately and track conversion. So that's where a broker can kind of come in and help you in those types of things. If not, if you're on your own doing those, it's trial and error. You have to practice. You have to get out there. You have to perfect your pitch, or at least practice your pitch and understand what works within the market. I always like to say a sample without a system, it's just a free lunch. You can't just drop off a sample. They'll eat it, they'll enjoy it, and then they'll go on with their day. You have to have some sort of follow-up mechanism, very important to your overall success. Those that follow up more consistently and more often typically grow their business faster. So build a process around it. From distributor sample stock to a rep execution, that's not even a word. Rep execution, you have to have samples readily available. It's a cost. You have to figure out, how do I get those samples into the market so that my broker reps or distributor reps or myself or my direct team, whoever it may be, have access to them so they can get product in mouths. If you think you can sell from just a sell sheet, you're wrong. That's one part of the industry that's incredibly important. It's getting product in people's mouth. Okay, now, once we've talked about operators, we've talked about distributors, we've talked about sampling, we've talked a little bit about brokers and how they can help your business. Now we want to go an inch deep and a mile wide. Wow, I totally threw that backwards. No, you want to go a mile deep. Good job, Nick. A mile deep and an inch wide. Okay, so within a market, I want to be deeply entrenched. I don't have those deep roots going down into the ground. And so here's some thoughts. You don't need 50 accounts to succeed in a new market. You need, let's say, 5 really loyal ones. Maybe you need two big ones that can force distribution, move product, help you build a story, help you with your marketing, all those types of things. Once you kind of get that baseline, you can build from there. Again, you want to go an inch wide, a mile deep. Educate the kitchen staff. If they don't know how to use the product, if they're not comfortable with the product, then you may not have the right amount of turn that you want. You want them to be using your product, be comfortable with it, train them how to use it. Visit with them. Maybe it's quarterly. Maybe it's twice a year. Maybe it's once a year. Stay within their business, helping them out, introducing new products that you have so that that product stays sticky. So once you get it in, it doesn't come out. That's important. Provide them marketing support. Maybe they need some window clings that go on the outside of their deli case, or maybe they need some on-table point-of-sale material, maybe little table tents that have a picture of your product and their logo, whatever it may be. Offer them the support that they need so they can be successful with your products. And then think about what are some unique and interesting recipe ideas. They can create what are called LTOs, or limited time offerings, which restaurants specifically, they do all the time. Think about it. When you go in and it's Christmas time, you've got, or let's say Thanksgiving time, how many pumpkin or squash or fall type foods do they offer in a lot of these different places? It's a promotion. Go to Starbucks, and whether you're there in around Thanksgiving time or Christmas time, you've got peppermint flavored things, you've got pumpkin spice, you've got all these different fun, interesting flavors that are LTOs, limited time offerings, that don't necessarily stay on the menu forever. But in that time, they can move some serious volume. When your brand becomes part of the success story of the operators that you service, they're not just going to buy your product, they're going to advocate for it. Many times, operators like chefs, for example, or business owners, they may work in other locations, other concepts, or they have friends. And it's another great way to be able to spread the word about your brand and about your process, about your products, So let's recap. This is the playbook to grow in new markets. Number 1, define your operator target. Number 2, build your distribution alignment. Number 3, leverage a strong local broker. Number 4, sample with purpose. Number 5, go deep with your top accounts. Growth isn't luck, it's execution. If your brand thinking about your next region or market, or you're a broker or distributor, whoever you may be looking to level up, this playbook, this simple framework or playbook will help you level up your game. Okay. I want to say thank you again for following me and listening along. If you can leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify, that would mean the world to me. I'll see you again next week.